Good morning. My name is Marissa Blunard, and welcome to It's Your Life Own It. I'm so excited to be here with you, and I'm praying that the words that we share today are words of wisdom, inspire you. It's Your Life Own It, Motivational Moments with Marissa is focused. This segment is focused on this. The times have changed. The season is shifting. And though I just got back to the Dominican Republic from Atlanta, spending a lot of time with my younger sister, helping her with her business, and also just connecting, getting that connection with her in a deeper way, in a more profound way, and just loved it, loved it, loved it, love it. So excited to be back here. So things are shifting for me as well. But this season is shifted, even though it's still warm. Sometimes a season is holding on. And what does that mean to us? What does it mean when a season is holding on? What does it mean to shift and be flexible and fluid? We're going to be talking about that. You're going to hear from the different contributing writers this morning, and their perspectives on this shift and what they're doing to navigate with us. So we'll give it a minute to as everyone filters in and comes on screen. Hello, everybody. And we're gonna start. We've got people all over, and that's the beautiful thing about doing this virtual life. And one thing that COVID did teach us is that we could be all over and in one space at one time. And so we have Nathaniel, furthest out. We have Nathaniel X Ross, who's in Thailand. So technology is going to be challenging, but that's all right. We're professionals. We know how to navigate around technology. And so we have Nathaniel in Thailand. We have Jacqueline Lulu Brown in Atlanta. We got Dr. Jeffrey in Florida. And we got Teresa. Where are you at, Teresa? Because I always...
Alabama. I'm in Alabama.
Marissa is frozen.
Pastor Derain. You're on mute.
Marissa, you may want to repeat the question because you were frozen and we didn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. Where are you coming from, Pastor Derain?
Good morning. I bring you greetings from Fredericksburg, Virginia. Excited to be here this morning.
Nice. So we're all... Yeah, so we're all over. So just giving you just the scope of where we are. We are coming from all different areas, and seasons are shifting for us. And they can be, challenging to the shifts that happen. But if we look at from a positive perspective, one thing is for sure, if you look at it
We are definitely having technical difficulties across the world today.
It looks that way, Jeffrey. So we'll just hang out here for a minute.
I want to charge over to Jeffrey that as these season shifts and changes, dealing with everything that's going on in Florida, how do you, because it's life, right? Life is always happening, as they say. So Dr. Jeffrey, share with us, as life is happening in a real, wholehearted, how do you stay focused on your goals? How do you stay focused on what has just hit you guys over there in Florida? How do you maintain that focus?
Sure. Thanks, Marissa. For me, basically, it's mindset. This is the second hurricane that we've gone through, and thank God it was not as bad as Ian, which devastated our property. But it's really the mindset of being prepared and really understanding what you're coming in front of. This year, for me, it's been a huge change in regards to receiving an honorary doctorate. So I have to make that shift. And I'm working on that shift in regards to how do I want to move forward with my goals and objectives, and what kind of an impact do I want to have in 2025, because I've added this layer with new responsibilities, not only to myself, but to the organization and the goals of this organization from a global perspective, which does include what I'm doing today, which is very, very exciting. So I think for me, it's really the point of having all of this exciting and new things that are happening. And that's what keeps me focused, because I want to make change. I want to have an impact, and I need to figure out what is the best strategy for that.
Yeah. I know for me, whenever I think of something in a negative way, it sends me into that swooping down mode, right? But when I look at the positive and possibilities out of a certain thing, I begin to regain momentum, and I regain that tenacity to overcome. And so positive psychology is not just something that you say, it's actually a method for how you interact and how you overcame, and the practice of how you interact and overcome. I see you sitting on the edge, Mr. Ross. Why don't you share with us a little bit of, just that whole shifting from one season in life to another season, and it's parallel. So there could be a shift in your season in life, as well as a shift and change in our environmental seasons. So share your thoughts. You got to come off mute.
The weather is shifting here. We're moving from rainy season towards winter, but winter is still very warm here, so it's enjoyable weather. But at the same time, I'm actually making a shift in my life where I'm looking at 2025 and saying, okay, what does 2025 look like? What is that journey? And for me, it's about education and nonprofit work. So everything that I do, I'm shift and do full-time nonprofit and educational courses. And of course, I'll be working with you, Marissa, as we do the financial boot camp, as we educate people around the world. And it's definitely, it's not something that you get up and say, I'm going to turn the ship today. It's like a cruiser. You gotta turn that thing, and it's going to take time for it to turn. So don't think that it's just going to happen overnight for you. Be patient and be gentle on yourself as you go through the process.
Yeah. We did an excellent job. We just finished up the last boot camp at the start of this month, which was great. And we are going to actually publish a schedule of boot camps for 2025 so that you can be prepared to join them. It doesn't matter where you are financially. Education, as Nathaniel said is so important. Education is ongoing. We should be life learners. Things are changing. And we need to have that foundation of knowledge of how we handle our money, especially those who are looking to get into a wealthy place. You want to be able to know how to manage your wealth. You want to be able to be good stewards over everything that God has given to you, to manage financially. And that takes knowing. You get to know the system. I love what Nathaniel teaches in regards to having to know the rules of engagement. What are the rules of engagement? How is this game played? Because if you how we handle that emotionally, when we get ready to make a shift, and how do we let go? Because the seasons, like I said earlier, in Atlanta, they were kind of like it's kind of staying warm and not wanting to move over into the fall weather. And sometimes we're like that when we need to make a shift, and also the importance of shifting over so that you can prepare, as Nathaniel said, for 2025. So share your thoughts in your own words, Teresa.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. The shift, I think, is so important because we do need to be flexible. We do need to have a certain amount of plans, but we also have to know how to surrender. And that means sometimes there's unforeseen things that we have no control over that could shift in a minute. Everything can shift. And I think we've seen that with weather. Um, we just need to really be in that place where it's good to plan, but at the same time, it's also good to know that those plans can change at any time. And then at that point, we have to be flexible enough to either move in a different direction. A lot of it is also divine timing. And by that, I mean that you can't force something to happen. You can't make anything happen. It has to happen in its own time. And that's when the time is right. And it may not be in hours or days or months. It may not be linear time. It just may be when we are ready to move on to what we need to move on to. And it's more of an unconscious type of thing. It's not consciously we say, well, this isn't going to happen at this time. Too often we try to force things and we set ourselves goals and we say, oh, X, Y, and Z has to happen. And then life interferes or life happens. And the next thing you know, we haven't accomplished that. We're mad at ourselves when really there's no reason to be, because everything that's going to happen for us. And I always say, I got this, I think, from Maria Menounos, life happens for you, not to you. So anything that goes on in our life is meant to happen. We need to be flexible, but we also need to know that sometimes we have to be patient and wait. And that's probably the hardest thing because we're used to instant gratification. And anything that is good takes time.
We are definitely having technical challenges today. Jackie, you want to just jump in with your comments and feedback?
I can. Thank you. We'll keep it moving here. This is so interesting. Talking about the
Yep, keep it
shifting.
moving.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jack.
Okay. Continue. Okay.
Please.
This is really interesting to take the analogy in, natural cycles of weather and then what's going on in our personal and our professional lives during transition. When we take a look at that, there's so many lessons to be learned. And I'm just going to, say unpredictability and change. With weather, we know it's unpredictable. We know that seasons are not always what we expect them to be. And the same thing in our life. We have shifts, we have them in personal life, careers, leadership. There are things that happen unexpectedly. But being able to adapt, we prepare for storms, don't we? Sometimes we're not totally prepared, but for the most part, as much as we can, we're prepared, and then we embrace how we're going to navigate through that. And in our own personal lives, it's adaptability that's really important. One of the things, not the only thing, but embracing that flexibility, being open to the change is really essential. And encourage this self reflection to recalibrate our goals and our priorities when they seem to shift in a different direction. So, the way that we are preparing for winter storms or hurricanes, we also, as individuals, can proactively equip ourselves with the skills, the resources, and most importantly, the mindset to face the new season with resilience. And when we do that, we've set the foundation for us to win and be on top.
Nathaniel, you're on mute. So I think let's turn it over to Pastor Durain.
Good morning. Good morning. I feel like I'm just like this new season that we're in. Just as the leaves are falling and turning colors, sometimes I wake up, don't know what color I am today, don't know if I'm holding on to the branch or if I'm falling to the ground. But this, like many of you have already shared, flexibility. I'm in this season of shift because June 28th, 2024, I retired after 41 years in education. So my whole life is, I'm developing my new norm. Haven't totally developed what that new norm looks like. So I'm definitely adapting, being flexible, understanding that it's not like it was when I ran track for 10 years. I did like the third leg and the 440 and the third leg and the 880. That shows you how old I am because they don't even call it that anymore. And you got in and you win and you passed the baton and it was over. But it is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And understanding that, we financial boot camp, you go through it and you think you put things in place, but life happens and you're like, could have done a little bit more in this area, could have done a little bit more in that area. So what I've taken on is making sure that those new teachers that I come in contact with, encouraging them, sweetie, or as I say, sugar, put this in place so that when you get to 40 years, 30 years down the road, you are set and you have no financial concerns. And I praise God that I am in a good financial position. But I look back, I could have been in a better position have I made some shifts at certain times in my life. So where I am now, the thing that I had for 2024 was thriving for purpose, positivity, and possibilities. And I am embracing those things, looking for the positive things in everything that comes my way, even when life happens, like with the storms. I lived in Pensacola for 5 years, so I am definitely understand the challenges that Floridians are going through. Unfortunately, that's one reason I left, because I'm like, every hurricane that came through the Gulf Coast hit Pensacola. I'm like, Jesus, take me out of here, take the wheel and drive me to another area. But I understand that when life happens and when those hurricanes come and knock you off your feet, you got to find the positive. And the positive is you survive. The positive is you're living another day to regroup. You have another opportunity to get some things right, to do some things different. And that's the shift that we deal with every day. God gives us another opportunity to get it right. And because we are blessed, to be a blessing to somebody else and to give them a word of encouragement.
So I was on mute, but Pastor Doreen, what I was about to ask you was if you could comment on the world today from your perspective, from a spiritual, because for me, I see that there's a struggle that has been going on for some time, good versus evil, positive versus negativity. And the struggle, it's a real struggle that's going on in the world today. Whether you sit back and you look at it from a spiritual perspective, from a political perspective, you can look at it from all the different perspectives and you can see that tug of war taking place. And I just was curious from your perspective, what you thought about that and how people can help make that shift from the negative environment that people are living into a more positive.
There is definitely a shift. You can see it. Sometimes it seems like the axis of evil are just running rampant, and that they seem to think that they've taken over. But I just believe that those of us who believe in God, and I don't care what God you worship, but you worship one. Take that positivity. And those of us who have that mindset of being positive, of being good, we got to rise up. We don't need to fight in the physical, because it's not a physical fight, it's a spiritual fight. But through prayer, through encouragement of others, that's how you overcome evil. You become that light that you want to see in the world, in your little sphere of influence. But looking at definitely the negative, I think we're in a media mindset where people just seem to say whatever negative things come on their minds, and the vicious attacks of one another. Those of us, whether you in the political arena, whether you vote or not vote, have got to stand up and say right is right and wrong is wrong. If it quacks like a duck, it looks like a duck, it is a duck. I call it ugly. I don't call people ugly. I call their actions ugly. And when people act ugly, those of us who don't like it, we have got to stand up and call it what it is and encourage those. We don't have to agree on everything, but we can agree on what is right. We can agree that it's time for us to come together. Using the United States as an example, come together and be a force of encouragement instead of a force that's going in the negative direction. If for nothing else, to be that positive impact for our children. They are watching us. What are we teaching them? And we have to teach them to be positive and not to give in to this negative environment that seems to be prevalent and very pervasive in this time in our culture.
I'd like to add something to that. I think change starts with each of us, and we don't always realize that because we're kind of used to just following whomever or whatever. And I think especially it's so important for all of us, but especially people that are in the media or have a presence, spiritual teachers, to not even take a side, to not get involved with that chaos, to really just be the change that you want to see in the world. And that's peace. And if we all individually could just think and about peace, sit quietly and imagine the world being in peace, eventually it would happen, because our thoughts, what we think, what we believe, we also pass on to others because we are all interconnected. And I know there's people in the audience probably saying, well, no, we each have our own mind, this and that. But there is a thread, and it used to be called the silver thread. And I learned this about 24 years ago from my main spiritual teacher, Sri Dharma Mitra, that there's a silver thread that passes through everyone's heart. And that's what connects everything and everybody. It doesn't matter if you're a plant, an animal, a fish, it connects everybody. And the way we act influences other people. So if our mindset could be one of peace, of not taking sides. Sure, you could give your opinion, but not getting caught up in that chaos. If we could become the eye of the storm, that's where the peacefulness is. And just like with any storm, we do know they pass. They could be very devastating, just like the hurricanes have been, but they do pass. So if we can become the eye of the storm, if we can get rid of some of that chaos and live in more peace, think peaceful thoughts, just want to be present for each other, be present for ourselves, and just be that eye of the storm. That's the best I could say, because I get sick when I look on social media. And some of these are public figures.
It's
They're
fine.
everybody and
Yeah.
everything, just not how to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
And just one more thing with peace, love. Love truly covers a multitude of sins. I can love you past our differences. We don't have to agree, but I still love you. We don't have to look the same, but I still love you. And one thing that I've adopted, and people laugh at me because I'm not one who likes argue, but I'm the great debater. I've adopted this, and this is just since COVID. May we agree to disagree because I still love you. And people are like, wait, you're not going to argue that point? No, we don't need to argue. I love you, you love me, respect each other's differences and even our differences of opinion. But with love and peace, we can knock so many things out. We literally we are world changers, and that is what's going to change the world.
Yes, yes. And something that you said earlier, Teresa, too, is the ability to let go, right? To the ability to go, to let go of having to have people think and behave just like you. Everybody does not have to think and behave like you, even though you're really listen, I'm passionate. You know, I'm passionate. I think I sent Lulu a song this morning. And I'm so bad. I listened to that song like a gazillion times, but that's my personality. I share the song, but you may not like it. You may see, what the heck is this? What the heck of the heck is this? And you may not like it, but it's not my job to make you like it. It's my job to offer it to you, to give you a different perspective. And then at the end of the day, it's up to you. And if we can be a human race that says, hey, this is my way of doing things. I like tomatoes. You like tomatoes. But it's cool because when you come, bring your tomatoes and I'll bring my tomatoes. And then we can sit down together and you can eat what you like. I can eat what I like, and we can still have great conversation. We can still enjoy, and like Pastor Durain said, love each other. One of the biggest things in Pastor Durain, you talked about, I had to study world religion. And one thing that we will all agree on is that everyone believes in a higher power, right? Everyone across the globe believes, and we didn't just get here by ourselves. Something created us. And if that's the case, then if he created us and look at us, how we are, we do have the ability to love. We do have the ability to have independent thinking. Then I believe that our divine creator wants to see us happy. He wants to see us loving one another, cherishing one another, and building one another up. And when we do that, when we are in that full-fledged place of supporting and lifting one another up, we can shift gears. We can shift seasons, go into a new season, and we can do that with readiness, and we can do that with excitement. We can do that with the ability to project out, because we are coming from and thinking from positive psychology.
I think Marissa is frozen again. I did want to comment on one thing she said because it was so powerful. You say tomatoes, I say tomatoes. She said, you bring your tomatoes, you bring your tomatoes. And then when we get together, we realize we're saying the exact same thing. We're just saying it differently. We're on the same page. We just say it differently. And if you don't mind, I'm going to borrow that little analogy that you gave because I really like that. That was very powerful.
Have a blessed and empowering and exciting a week. Make sure you are projecting into your future, making those step-by-step plans. Get you I'm always writing and taking notes. So make sure you make that plan, write the vision and make it plain so that you're able to do the step-by-step tasks that are necessary for you to reach your goal. We love you so very much, and we are out. Have a great week.